How you doing, everybody? This is Nick checking in with today's video. I'm going to review this book, House Hacking, by Craig. Don't kill me, guys. Curelop. Um, I feel like this is a great book. I won't even make you guys wait. I just got that money swag. I'm going to review this book, The House Hacking Strategy, by Craig Curelop. It's a Bigger Pockets book. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Bigger Pockets coined the phrase house hacking. What is house hacking? I know that's your next question. House hacking is when you live in one place of the property and then you rent out another part of the property. That could be on Airbnb. That could be the house could be separated into separate units, and you live in one of the units, rent out the other one. You could live in one of the houses and rent out the other one if it's like a up down duplex or side by side. Airbnb, you could rent your place out on Airbnb on the weekend and maybe stay at a friend's house during the weekend. Then you're house hacking. And also, if you have a roommate, you're house hacking. You have a place, it costs you X amount to live there. You have somebody else help subsidize your living costs. So you kind of heard of house hacking, but this book is going to get you into house hacking with a more focused view on it and a more in-depth understanding on what you're doing and the benefits of it. That's why I like this book. I'll start off with the things that I don't like about the book, though. One of the things that I don't like is the anecdotes. They have a lot of anecdotes in this book, and it kind of gets. It's inspiring to read the stories, but I'm a meat and potatoes guy, so I just like to get the information. You know what I mean? Like I want the actionable tools, and let's get it done. Another thing I didn't like about the book was some of the numbers were kind of high, and I'm doing this video as if you know nothing about house hacking. Some of the numbers are kind of high, and I feel like certain people, especially people coming fresh out of college, might get turned off by some of the stories of the people, how much money they're spending. It kind of gets to the point where it's like some of them's like, oh, I don't want people to throw up their shoulders like, oh, okay, you have to be making this much money to do this. No, this is something anybody could do. So when you look at some of these numbers, keep in mind that these are just like examples and anecdotes, and your market might have something a lot cheaper. So don't get discouraged if you look at some of these stories or some of the examples in the book and the numbers seem kind of high for your market. Don't get discouraged. This is just a strategy guide, and look into your own market, and you probably can find something cheaper. Okay, so let's talk about some of the things I like about the book. I like that after every chapter in this book, they give you actionable items so you can go out here and make a difference in your own life. And they break down this big thing, which is purchasing a house. And purchasing a house where you're going to share your space with renters. That is a huge thing, and they break it down into very small, actionable steps. I really like that. And they have a little checklist, so you can really purchase this book, go through the checklist, and just check the things off. And I feel like that is something so like I can't even put it into words how much I think that's great to have in this book. Like, because buying a house, especially if you've never bought a house before, and some people's families, no one's bought a house before. So, like, having the steps to go through and say, okay, if I follow these steps, I can get this done. It makes it a time consuming process, a process that you have to take seriously, but it makes it easy because you know how to get it done. And to me, that's the definition of easy. Easy isn't something 1 + 1 = 2. Easy is something if the answer's out there and you can find the answer. To me, that's easy. So it takes this process and makes it easy. So another thing I like about this book is it gives you a lot of different examples of house hacking. Um, the Airbnb model. Lots of people might think of house hacking. You buy a house that's separated into two units, a duplex, live in one unit, rent out the other one. They give other examples. It's really nice. I really like that. I think they give you other examples because you might be able to combine strategies, and then you have this super house hacking strategy that you can take and really make a dent in your finances. Um, and I'll talk about the powers of house hacking. Right now, Baltimore City, if you're a young professional, you might want to live in Fells, Fed Hill, down Canton or somewhere. If you want to live in Fed, right now, for example, there's a house $300,000 on South Charles Street, really, really close to like where all the bars and stuff. Like you could throw a baseball up in the air and it might bounce into one of the bars. That's how close it is. Um, so the house is $300,000. Now, somebody coming fresh out of college, young professional even might not have enough money to purchase a house for $300,000 down in Fed Hill. So, or afford the mortgage, because the mortgage on that house is going to be around $2,000 or so, give or take. So, $2,000 a month, that's a nice chunk of change for somebody to come up with. So, $2,000 a month, that's going to be tough, and it's going to be even hard for people to qualify for that house too. You have to keep that in mind. Just because you might have $2,000 to pay towards housing doesn't mean a bank will see you as someone who could sustain that. Because if, let's say, you bring home $3,000 a month, a bank now might not be comfortable you spending 66% of your money every month on housing, because they know, like, stuff comes up, which it will, you might not be able to pay them, so they might not approve you for the house. So you also, just because you have enough money coming in to pay for it doesn't mean a bank will give you a loan on that amount. That's something to keep in mind as well. So you can't afford to live there. And let's say right now your rent is $1,000 a month. You're paying $1,000 a month in rent, but you want to live down in Fed. So you could take that $300,000 house, because this house that I'm talking about is separated into two units. The downstairs unit is office space, which has its own, hiccups and stuff. But let's say you have the ability and the wherewithal, you say, hey, I'm going to figure this out. So the downstairs office space is bringing in $1,300 a month. So you could live upstairs and rent out the bottom place for $1,300, and your living cost that you have to pay every month is going to be now $700 a month. That's how powerful this house hacking could be. And you might now, because you have a tenant in there, this property has a tenant in there, you can take that to the bank, say, hey, I have this lease that says I'm going to get $1,300 a month for X amount of months. And now the bank, lots of banks will give you 75% of that. So this is a house you might not have qualified on before, but now the bank sees you as somebody who's making an extra $1,300 a month. So now you may be able to qualify for that house, and you can live where you want to live and it not kill you. Of course you're going to have to pay for other stuff. So like, you have to keep that in mind too. You're going to have to have money for repairs, repair the property, but you're bringing in $1,300 a month. And if I understand it right, I think the unit above this place, the place downstairs is a title place, so they close after 5, and so you don't have to really worry about them on the late night disturbing you too. That's a plus. But this place, I believe, is a 2-bedroom unit upstairs. So in this example, you could have a $300,000 house, and let's say you rent it out to a buddy of yours, so you don't charge them a whole lot of money. You charge them $500 a month to rent out the other bedroom, and you got split expenses. So now on that property for $2,000 a month, now you're bringing in $1,300 a month from the tenant downstairs, and you're bringing in an additional $500 a month, and you make them sign a lease so that way you can show it to the bank for later properties that you're going to buy. So now you're bringing in $1,800 a month, and you just have to come out $200 a month plus expenses to get the place fixed up and stuff. So this is how powerful house hacking could be. You could take a house or a piece of property that was out of your price range and bring it into your price range and make where you want to live cheaper than when you're living now. You know what I mean? So it's not something where you have to, cut back on your life. It could be a tool you can use to improve your life as well. So I want that to be put out there. Like, you can use the house hacking strategy to live in a place you can't afford by yourself, and use that to live in a better part of town, or, just make it doesn't have to be where, like, you see yourself as sacrificing. You're going to live in a place you didn't want to live. Now you're in the heart of action using that house on South Charles Street in Baltimore, for example. So keep that in mind. Also, what I like about this book is it has pretty much everything you need to know about buying a house and renting property out in this book, without bogging you down with too much information. I think they did a real good job of letting you know what to expect when you're going to do it. If you read this book, if you can handle house hacking. So I think that's a good thing. Like, It doesn't sugarcoat too much stuff, but it doesn't put too much information on there, too much technical stuff, because your house hacking, this might be your first property. You're going to be living there, so 9 times out of 10, you're gonna be more hands-on. You know what's going on, so you can figure it out, and you're using some of the money in most cases that you were using to afford where you were living before. You're saving money, so like the expenses that come up with the rental property just seem, I don't know how, they just seem to be able to better handled because you're using money that you're going to spend anyway. And you just, it doesn't scare you. I'll just say that it doesn't scare you. I like this book. Other things I like about this book, it gives you a why at the end of every chapter. Like, why did you just read this? Recap this. Put this in your brain. This is a book written. It's going to get you where you want to go if you want to go here. Um, I feel as though that this book is for somebody who doesn't know anything about house hacking and wants to decide if it's for them. Um, Wants the house hack, I think it's for you too. Um, this book isn't for somebody who's like already done house hacking before. This book is like a beginner's guide combo how-to book. It's not really like an advanced guide, advanced real estate strategies or anything like that. They do have some ones that I didn't think of in this book, but to pick up a book just for that, I don't know. But this book is for, I would say, beginner to intermediate investors. It's not an advanced investors book. So this book, it delivers on what it says it's supposed to do. It is easy to digest information. It gives you actionable tips on how to do it. It's written by the people who coined the phrase. This book gets a 5 out of 5 in my book, guys. I think this book delivers. It is what it's supposed to be. And if you purchase this book, you'll understand how to house hack, how to get started, if it's for you, and you're good to go after you read this if you're ready to house hack or not. Couple of things I want you guys to keep in mind when you're going to house hack. Um, one, Number one thing is make sure you have reserves. They talk about it in this book, but I can't stress it enough. Like, make sure you have reserves so you're not stressed out about this house hack. It doesn't become a burden. You're not stressed out because you're going to be responsible for repairing the house. It's your house, and you have to be responsible for repairing the tenant's portion of the house, or if you're sharing the living space, you're going to be responsible for fixing it up in most cases. So make sure that you have enough money coming in every month to fix the house up. Number two, finding tenants, it's going to be scary for the first time around, but you will find them if you put the work in. But it's going to be scary, especially when you're using a property to subsidize how much you're spending every month. It's going to be scary when you find that first eviction or that first tenant has to leave. It's going to be scary for you. And just understand and prepare for it and put a couple dollars up every month to save for when that eventual tenant moving out. It's part of the real estate game. Tenants are going to move out. It's just part of the game, you know. So you just have to prepare for that and get ready. So every month, put a little bit up. And if you're getting a mortgage, this is a tip I'm going to tell you guys right here. You can only get this here, man. If you're buying a mortgage and you close on a property, the first month, let's say January, I closed on a property January 5th. I don't have to make my first mortgage payment until March 1st. So that means February's rent, the second month of the year, I'm going to get that money and the January money prorated to when they moved in. I'll get the January money and the February money if tenants are already in place. So if you buy a place, this is the example of the tenants are in place. If you buy a place like on South Charles Street, you would get that $1,300 for January minus a couple days. So you get like $1,200 worth of rent. And then for February, you get the $1,300. So now you have $2,500 before you have to make that first mortgage payment of $1,900. And in March, if they pay on time, you're going to get that $1,300. So now you have two payments of rent that you could put up and put to the side from when that person moves out for the repairs, for the things that are going to go wrong. Because for most mortgages, check when you get your mortgage. For most mortgages, they'll give you like a month grace period, and they don't count the month when you move into the house. So, for example, you move in January, they won't count February, and your first payment will be due in March 1st. So, you basically can get, depending on when you move in, if you do like the 30th, it doesn't work as well, but you get at least a month's rent if they pay without having to pay. So put that money up to the side, because that's money. If somebody's living there, of course, that's money that's coming in. Put that money up to the side as soon as you get it. This is for repairs. This is for emergency. This is for somebody moves out, and and then you could build on that pot so it doesn't feel as much of a burden. So you could build on that pot every month, put a little bit in there, a little bit in there, and put a little bit to the side for repairs, because stuff is going to come up. But if you're going to get a cushion, it's like if you're buying this house and you're going to be saving so much money monthly, you'll have money to put to the side. Let's say you bought the house and it cleaned you out pretty much as far as your savings and stuff. You can use that little chunk of money to help build a small emergency pot that you can use to build on. So that's something that if you never bought a house before, you wouldn't know. So that's my tip for you guys. So this is Nick. Stay tuned. I got a lot more videos coming out for you guys.